It is time for another new Heroes banner, and there's one thing I'm hoping, and that is that I don't need to pull on this banner. So let's jump in and see what IS is cooking. It is Fate's music. Okay, that's a good sign. I don't need to pull on Fate's banners. So we have Mozu. Okay, so let's start off with the preference weapon for your Nagina. This has Slang, and then if your HP is greater than 25%, you'll get a visible defense and res +6. You'll get special acceleration as a visible buff, and not only will Mozu get this, but all allies within 3 spaces. You'll also get +5 to all stats, and an additional plus all stats equal to X, where X is based off the number of units within 3 spaces, +1, but if they have a Divine Fame effect, it automatically goes up to 10. And this also affects your damage reduction, so you can get flat damage reduction up to 10 as well, and this is Brave damage reduction, which is very nice, and you also get 10 healing. So overall, nice little tinky weapon here. Also some nice support effects, which does make her a pretty good Gale Forcer, as she does have Slang, and she is an infantry unit. Means she can use something like Infantry +4, give out some nice cooldown while also giving special acceleration. So very nice weapon overall. We also then have bonus doubler 4 and the new attack speed bulwark 4, which is just the attack speed version of that, which is nice. It's a good version for those people who really want speed. When it comes to roles, Mozu's playing tank role, a support role, and a Gale Force role. She can do all 3 pretty well. As a tank, she does have some nice flat DR, which is good, and also some extra healing, which is pretty solid as well. I don't think she's going to be as strong as, like, you know, the Emblem Ikes or like Altinas or male Lears in the world, but she could definitely work pretty well, and she's also pretty versatile, which means she can work pretty well in Gale Force, like I mentioned earlier. When it comes to game modes I expect to see Mozu in, I'm mostly expecting Eat the Raid's offense as a Gale Force unit or as an Omni tank, and it's possible she could be used as like a raid boss in Summoner Duels as well. Let's move on to our next unit. Okay, we have Yukimura. I did not remember his name at all, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, we have his preference weapon, Perspicacious. This has Slang. Okay, then you're going to grant a visible bonus of attack defense and res +4. And then you're going to give out like a damage reduction Havoc, kind of like Legendary Camilla, but instead of it being 50%, it's going to be 30%. But it is to all allies within 7 rows and 7 columns, so it's a much larger range than a Camilla, so that's pretty cool. And then at start of combat, if your HP is greater than equal to 25%, you're going to inflict a penalty on the foe's attack and defense, which is equal to the number of allies within 7 rows and 7 columns, up to 15, and then he'll also reduce damage reduction by half as well, excluding AoEs, and he'll also give himself special acceleration. So overall, this is a pretty interesting weapon. It gives him nice supportive effects while also giving him the ability to hit pretty hard and to accelerate into bigger cooldowns, like something like Iceberg can work pretty well, but if you can get a little bit of help, you can also go into something like Lethality. We also have a Sabotage Attack Defense 3 now, so we just have the attack defense version of this. Not the biggest deal, but is nice to have in the game. So when it comes to roles, what is he really doing? He's mostly a support unit, honestly. Most of the things he really wants to do is support the team, and that is a pretty powerful support effect. The thing is like you're kind of trading like versatility for power, right? Because the Legendary Camilla is going to offer more damage reduction, reducing in her effect, but this one is much more easier to use, and it's going to hit your entire team most of the time. So that is something kind of cool. He's also a dagger unit, which means that he can use things like a disarm trap, which could also be very interesting as well. He does seem to be kind of slow though. He seems to be more like a bulky dagger unit, so that's something to consider. When it comes to game modes, he could possibly use like Eat the Raid's defense, as like he could be on a cav line and they kind of give out this effect to other nukes who are going to be stronger than he will, which will make them nuke a lot harder, so that's an option. Other than that, I don't really see that many places for him. Maybe you could use him in Summoner Duels, but typically like those teams are very competitive and we have so many good ranged calves, I'm not sure if he's going to really reach that level. Anyways, let's move on to our next unit. Okay, we got Hayato as the demo. I'm guessing we got a red mage tome. We have an inheritable weapon here with Aurora Lantern. At start of turn, if you use within 2 spaces of an ally, you're going to get that terrain ignoring effect, which is pretty nice, and special acceleration. So 2 nice effects there that are really good. And then if you initiate combat, or if you're within 2 spaces of an ally, you get attack res +5. So this is a cool inheritable weapon. Definitely has some nice, cool supportive effects there. Not like insane, but very usable. So definitely if you're looking for something like that and you want to go budget, this is a good option, as he will be in the normal summoning pool. Other than that, he also has attack speed ideal 3 and wind sweep, which aren't bad fodder as well. So overall, pretty solid addition to the normal summoning pool. But now let's move on to the final hero of the banner. Who's gonna be? Oh, it's Azura. I guess it's been, how long has it been? 2 years since an Azura? So I guess that makes sense. Axe Cab Azura. It's interesting. Okay, so we have Tri-Fastler, her preference weapon, which is going to enable Canto distance +1, max to 4, so she has some insane Canto. She's going to get speed +3, and at start of turn, if she's within 2 spaces of an ally, she's going to give a visible attack and speed +6 bonus, no follow-up, and no panic to herself and allies. And then if there's an ally within 3 spaces of her, she's going to get +5 to all stats during combat. Okay, so we have Changing Waters, and what this is going to do is going to dance like normal. It's also going to grant that 1 extra space of movement, but this time it's not going to affect cavalry allies with range equal to. So no ranged calves will get this, which is overall a good thing in my opinion, but it does allow melee calves to get extra movement, which is really cool. It's also going to grant incited to the target you dance and any allies within 2 spaces of them, so that's also very good. It's not like crazy though. I don't think this is like, I was kind of expecting more to be honest, considering that Azura tends to be like the OP dancer who introduces broken things. This just seems good, but doesn't seem broken by any means. 4 range melee calves is definitely pretty powerful, but we've seen that already, and typically you don't have to dance for that. So I don't think this is going to be insanely broken. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe this works really well into like the calf teams in SD, but overall I'm not like super impressed here. Then we have Attack Defense Cantrip 3. What this essentially is going to do is whenever you sing or dance, you're going to inflict attack and defense -7 and sabotage on foes in cardinal directions of unit. This is okay. Honestly, I don't like this all that much because it's very difficult to land, right? Like they have to be in cardinal directions. It doesn't like hit the nearest foe or it doesn't spread or anything like that. So you're typically going to replace it with like one of those other dancing skills. And then we get to the very bottom, and this is where she gets really interesting in my opinion. We get Wings of Mercy as an echo skill, and this is really, really powerful. Now, is this completely broken? I don't think it's completely broken, but it is very, very nice. And if you are a person who runs a lot of Gale Force teams, this is going to be a great boon to you because it essentially opens up your B slot, meaning that you can, use other things. You can use like physical no fall, all speed, defense, tempo, stuff like that, right? Things that will let you do more damage and secure more kills, or even just make it so it's easier to proc Gale Force, right? And so having to not run Wings of Mercy in your B slot is a very big deal. Now the one thing is, this is Wings of Mercy 3, this is not Wings of Mercy 4, so there is that, where Wings of Mercy 4 is very, very good if you haven't gotten a chance to really use it. So that is a bit of a downgrade there, but overall I do think this is a pretty good echo skill. Okay, when it comes to roles, what is Azura really doing? She's completely a support unit, right? Like her combat is pretty terrible. All she gets is +5 to all stats during combat, which is not much at all. She does offer some really interesting things, such as no follow, no panic, the extra movement, and incited, so those are all very nice effects. She is also a dancer, so she can work somewhat on Gale Force teams. The really big unfortunate thing in my opinion is that she doesn't have slaying. If she had slaying, it would make it so much easier for her to proc Gale Force herself, and having a Gale Force dancer is really nice. Now you still can do it with the Marth Ring, but that is a little bit more investment, and it will be a little bit more difficult because you'll typically need to double as well, so that's something you'll have to consider. But overall, I do think that is a good role for her. When it comes to game modes, I could see her being used in like Ether 8's offense, like on a Gale Force team. I could see her being used on Ether 8's defense in like a trap, essentially like a dancer trap, where she'll go in, she'll dance, extend that range, and make those units really deadly. That's also an option. And then it's possible that we see her in Summoner Duels on those cab teams, which have become extremely popular. Okay, let's move on to the final part of the video. Should you pull? So the pros, of course, if these are your favorite characters, definitely pull for them. These are a lot of characters we haven't seen in Fates for quite a while, other than Azura, of course. So if they are your favorites, definitely pull for them. And if you're a big Azura simp, obviously this is going to be a unit you want as well. When it comes to the units themselves, I don't think any of them offer anything like revolutionary or insane. All of them have effects that we have seen in the game before. So there's nothing like really insanely new here. But in that situation, there is some decent fodder here. And Azura herself is a pretty solid unit, and that echo skill is really cool, so I think those are all decent reasons to pull. But when it comes to cons, honestly, this banner isn't like meta revolutionary in my opinion by any means, and so if you want to skip this banner, I definitely think you can, and it's not going to hurt you if you're like a competitive player. The things you have to remember too is that we are coming up on May, and May tends to have the Bridal banner as well as the Fallen banner, and the Fallen banner tends to be pretty strong, so you might want to save some orbs for that. We also have an insane legendary banner at the end of May, which will have Emblem Ike and Emblem Marth sharing. So that's definitely something you're going to want to have orbs for if you don't have those heroes already, or if you're looking for merges or Lagoose Friend fodder, which is really, really good. So unless you're like a massive like Fates fan and you've been waiting for these characters, or you just really, really want the Wings of Mercy echo skill, I would honestly give you the advice of just skipping here. Personally, I will be skipping this banner. Fates really isn't one of my favorite games, so none of these characters really appeal to me all that much, and I don't think any of them are so meta defining or have any skills I really need, so for me, it's a pretty easy skip. But now I'd love to hear from you. What do you think of this banner? Are you excited for these characters finally getting added to Fae? Are you excited for a new Azura after so long? So make sure to drop a comment down below telling me your summoning plans. As always, I'd like to thank all my members for their constant support. This is Oblivion. I'll catch you all later with more Fire Emblem Heroes.